3 years ago, a 30-foot tall monument was unveiled on the National Mall. It's a first of its kind in two ways. One, it's the first to honor someone who is not a president. And secondly, it was the first to honor an African American. It's a tribute to his contributions not only to this country, but to the world as a phenomenal orator with a compelling vision of change. Of course, I'm speaking about the transformational leader, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Using language as a powerful instrument, he moved the hearts and raised the consciousness globally. He promoted worldwide transformation. There are Dalits, the untouchables in India, who have formed a freedom network inspired by King's vision of change and hope. That's really what transformational leadership is all about, developing and conveying goals that possess a belief in the ability to overcome and make an impact. Northhouse supports the view that transformational leadership is a process wherein a leader links with the motives of followers to reach a common goal. We can actually see pictures of King linked arms with followers in marchers as they move towards a common goal together. Northhouse emphasizes that transformative leaders are attentive to the needs and motives and work towards helping followers reach their highest potential, their ultimate hope and demands. Barge in leadership, communication skills for organizations and groups asserts that leadership is best explained by communication skill. More so, King used narrative communication to create community. Effective communication is desired, and it's an attribute of transformational leadership. Transformational leaders rely heavily on their rhetorical skills in order to articulate a vision and create meaning for their followers. So King communicated through sermons and speeches. He moved people to action towards the vision he spoke about in numerous speeches that were injected with passion. He was influential in transforming the Jim Crow era by communicating a short and long-term radical vision of change, harmony, and equality through numerous speeches and sermons. The lyrical cadence and moving language that every man could relate to, he resurrected hopes and dreams, optimism and confidence. His words excited and persuaded. This preacher, a status that earned him deep respect and trust, converted souls over to his vision. He preached his vision and then he preached it again and then he preached it some more. He fashioned his words to help his followers to see his vision, to see his dream, a clear and definitive goal that promoted his followers' deepest needs, beliefs, and values for a better tomorrow, a better one day. An example of that is taken from his I Have a Dream speech. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. In responding to the balance of the prompts in this discussion, I examined communication as a tool in Dr. King's transformational leadership using the four factors of transformation listed in Northhouse: idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, individual consideration. I've included examples of his speech within each factor. So, how did he raise the level of morality in a group through talk? Through intellectual stimulation. He communicated. Quite simply, he challenged society's beliefs. He refused to accept the conditions of the day. Now, this is a critical component of transformational leadership, raising morality. Again, an example. In his speech, I Have a Dream. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vault of opportunity of this nation. And so we have come to cash this check, a check that will give us, upon demand, the riches of freedom and security of justice. So specifically, how does this leader engage with others through talk? Again, through idealized influence. One word answers this: charisma. Northhouse labels it, as I said, idealized influence. King was trusted and respected with high standards of moral and ethical conduct. My gosh, he was a Baptist preacher. People wanted to emulate him. This is best example is in his address to the First Montgomery Improvement Association. He said, "We are not wrong. We are not wrong in what we are doing. If we are wrong, the Supreme Court of this nation is wrong. If we are wrong, the Constitution of the United States is wrong. And if we are wrong, God Almighty is wrong. If we are wrong, Jesus of Nazareth was merely a utopian dreamer that never came down to earth. If we are wrong, justice is a lie. Love has no meaning. And we are determined here in Montgomery to work and fight until justice runs down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream." How did he create a connection with others through talk? Through inspirational motivation. He gave the ultimate pep talks. King's words massaged your essence, offering reassurance, strengthening conviction about the direction in which he was taking you. He forged a powerful and memorable connection between himself and the listener. His metaphors lent substance to his vision. They connected the unfamiliar to the familiar, reaching every man's emotional understanding. They inspired and motivated. And so here's an example from his I Have a Dream speech. "It is obvious today that America has defaulted on the promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, which has come back marked insufficient funds." So how did Dr. King attend to the needs and motives of followers through talk? Again, Northouse points out individualized consideration. He listened, and he listened carefully in a supportive environment. Dr. King acknowledged the sacrifice his followers made. He let them know that he appreciated their immense effort. Again, an example, I Have a Dream speech. "I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive." Lastly, how did Dr. King help followers reach their fullest potential through talk? Quite simply, he inspired, he empowered a selflessness in his followers wherein they rose above their own concerns for the good of the country. That's what transformational leaders do. They believe that their leaders can do their best. They lead their group members to feel inspired and empowered. He did this especially through his sermons of perseverance, community, and hope. From his Strength to Love speech. The hope of a secure and livable world lies with disciplined nonconformists who are dedicated to justice, peace, and brotherhood. On that note, I end this discussion.